Prior to getting this gig on the schedule, when was the last time you had seen Jaws?
Um, it had been a while. It had been a while, but
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, being just absolutely terrified. I mean, especially when Hooper goes down and like there was a boat that they saw like of a fisherman that they remembered, and then they go down and they see, and then this head pops out. And I remember that. Yeah. And so in fact, today when I was rehearsing that scene, I'm still terrified by it. And
Yes.
the little cue that I use Post-its on everything, and I just wrote, head, just like that. Head falling, and that's when I know that's the most absolutely terrifying.
Joining me now is the principal pops conductor of the Columbus Symphony. He has led everyone from Batman to Indiana Jones through their cinematic adventures. Now, just when you thought it was safe to go back in the concert hall, he's going to terrify us with Jaws. A big welcome to Stuart Chafetz, Maestro Chafetz. Welcome to Comic Book Central.
Thank you. Great to be back.
Oh my goodness, I am so honored to be speaking to you again. We talked about Indiana Jones last time. I missed the Batman one. I mean, we talked about it with the folks at the symphony, but didn't get a chance to talk about it. How was that? Like,
It was
what?
like unbelievable, thinking that it was 35th year anniversary, and to be able to like get into it as I did when I was just watching it as a civilian, if you will, and
Yeah,
remembering how cool it was and how, you know, Michael Keaton kind of surprised me, when I saw him in
yeah.
that role after seeing him in so
Surprised
many.
everybody.
Yeah. And then I mean just the music, of course, Danny Elfman's incredible score. And,
Yeah.
I've since conducted many of Danny Elfman's tunes, and I just realized, this sort of dark brooding element that he did. And then you listen to The Simpsons and it's like a completely different vibe. So that just tells me the type of composer. And of course, I immediately go to the music aspect of it, but
Yeah.
also the darkness and the brilliance of, the way it was directed. And I felt like Tim Burton really had a handle on this, and the vibe was so uh incredible to come back to it and study the score and then actually do it live to film.
Yeah, I've seen it, and it's like it still blows my mind. I've seen it at a couple different symphonies, and it still blows. When the Batmobile, goes rushing through and things. Do you like as a fan? This is a fanboy question, so forgive it. But like, do you as a fan, like, as I know you go, there's like a little line I think on the screen that you're looking, and there's like a beat, and you're looking, and
Yeah,
everything's rehearsed. And it's almost
yeah,
choreographed like a dance. But do you
yeah.
ever, as a fan, do you ever like sneak a peek at the movie, like if you know scenes coming up, or like, or can't you
Well,
tell us?
but I mean, actually, the screen is right there with the line, right? So, I
Yeah, but like the big screen, like
yes,
the
yes.
monster screen behind you. Do you ever just like find yourself going, "Oops"?
Oh yeah, all the time. The thing
Oh,
is that
okay, woo. Okay, I thought that was a goofy
no,
fanboy question.
absolutely. It's so close, right? So, when you're
Yeah,
looking up, it's like almost
yeah,
not blurry, but it's just like the whole idea that screen is the benefit of the distance of it. But it's
yeah.
still astounding when you're doing a Star Wars film and you're like, look at that.
Yeah,
Uh,
or when the boulder's coming down for Raiders or something of the trail. It's
exactly.
almost like impossible. It's like almost that nerd, that little
Yes.
kid in you just wants to jump out of
Yeah.
the conductor, throw the baton down and watch the film or
All the
something.
time. All the time. In
Yeah.
fact, when I stopped conducting, and there's 2 or 3 minutes worth of dialogue, or 7 minutes, depending, before we come in
Yeah.
again. It's
Yeah.
real easy to forget, because you're so um, involved with the film that it's, there's a clock going, counting down the seconds until you have to
Yeah.
bring the orchestra back in. Sometimes I forget, and it's like, oh, I'm conducting a movie. I'm not watching it, since,
Right.
and those are the good ones, the ones that
Yeah.
the reason why we're doing it live to film is because these are the good ones, and
Yeah.
everyone has a certain special feeling about going and seeing it in this kind of capacity, which is, I mean, nothing compares to it with a live symphony orchestra anytime.
Have you, here's a question I don't think I've asked you before. Have you flipped a script? Have you been in the audience of a live to concert film, like watching another conductor do it? Have you ever done that?
Um, I'm trying to think. Generally, I'm probably working.
Yeah,
The
you're pretty
same
busy. I
time,
get it.
yeah, yeah. I haven't actually. Uh,
Okay, so if you would, which one would it be? Which one would you pick to watch as a fan? And is there a conductor that you'd be like, oh, if this conductor were conducting this film, I'm there. I don't care where.
Boy, that's a tough question. Um,
I asked the hard hitting ones.
yeah,
I go
I was
full
gonna
Barbara
say,
Walters.
yeah, sure. I don't know. I think it'd be kind of cool to see like Michael Giacchino conducting The Incredibles. You know what I mean? Like actually
Oh, good call.
something like that. Like, the actual composer like getting up in front of it and just like doing it. The thing that
Yeah.
I'm always reminded about is that these films when recorded, were recorded in chunks. So there wasn't
Hmm.
this idea of 2.5 hours of just straight playing, which is
Right.
why it's so incredibly virtuosic to hear the Columbus Symphony play an entire film score that was designed to be recorded like in these 1 minute segments, then cut, let's do it again, move on to the next segment. But
Right.
this way, it's just like full speed, fifth gear. You're just,
Yeah.
volume 11,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Especially with what you're doing, Raiders and Bat, like it's just this nonstop. And I've got a question about that later. Well, you brought me back around to it. Jaws in concert, November 7th at the Ohio Theater. I'm really looking forward to this one. One of the greatest theaters in the country, too. One of the greatest, what do you
Oh,
call it? Music for theaters, movie, for
yes,
concerts, music hall.
yes.
It's one of the greatest ever. Prior to getting this gig on the schedule, when was the last time you had seen Jaws?
Um, It had been a while. It had been a while, but
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, being just absolutely terrified. I mean, especially when Hooper goes down and like there was a boat that they saw like of a fisherman that they remembered, and then they go down and they see, and then this head pops out. And I remember that. Yeah. And so in fact, today when I was rehearsing that scene, I'm still terrified by it. And
Yes.
the little cue that I use Post-its on everything, and I just wrote, head, just like that, head falling, and that's when I know that's the most absolutely terrifying. I think I was 10 or 12, when this thing was out.
Yeah.
Like, oh
I
my,
mean, you've seen it since then, though, right? Like,
I did, yes, but like it's been a long time,
but this is the first time you've done Jaws live in concert, though,
It
right? So you,
is.
okay. It's funny you say that because I think well, definitely the last time I saw it in the theater was at the Ohio Theater. They did a summer movie series and they
Oh,
had Jaws a few years ago. And I knew
yeah,
the scene was coming. I know I've seen it a million times. And
right.
I jumped to the back of the theater when the head pops up every time. And it's that because, and I think the brilliance of Williams is that he I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he lured us in with the theme so that we know, okay, he's going to play the music every time something happens. But that time there was nothing. It was just that jump that, it wasn't sharp,
Exactly.
but it was, yeah. And there was almost like a psycho uh,
Yes. Yes.
screech or
And
something. What is that?
exactly. Exactly.
Is it
So
strings?
and it's this downbeat of like very short downbeat of like a bunch of instruments. So like as it's going by and it's this sort of eerie silence, and then all of a sudden, and it like,
Yeah.
you know, just hits. I still
Is
get
it one instrument? Is it one violin or something? Or
no,
what
it's
is it?
like an entire orchestra. It's
Like,
just like
but it's the whole thing, everybody at once.
yes, yeah, it's
Oh,
unbelievable. Yeah. And then it kind of gets crazy again, and he swims up to water, and
yeah.
it was just that head of like that was absolutely the most terrifying thing as a kid. I just remember. So when that happened, as I'm studying it, now I just write, head
And
pops out, or yeah. So
that's going to be so much fun watching. And you know the story behind that scene too, right? That was shot last. Did you know? Like,
no.
yeah, because he needed another scare in the film. At least this is the way I remember. I
Oh,
mean, I've got books and stuff I've read, but I think
wow.
Spielberg shot that. If I'm not mistaken, he shot that in the swimming pool of the film editor. They needed something, and so he set that up, and they put the dummy head out, and then she edited that in, and it became one of the most iconic moments in history.
I
So,
love that kind of trivia, those
yeah.
factoids, because it's always the least expected or like the most unexpected
Yeah.
stories that end up being, these iconic scenes.
Right. Oh, it's like Indiana Jones shooting the guy. It was like because he got sick that day and didn't want to do the whole 2 week sword fight. Yeah, like I love those things too.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've conducted, well, I mentioned Indiana Jones, Raiders, Batman, Ghostbusters, I think Jedi. Did you do Empire?
Yeah.
Star Wars?
Yeah.
Okay, you got them all. Like, do you feel like you're assembling your own Chafetz cinematic universe of like,
Well,
are you collecting? Are you compiling? Or what are you doing?
I am absolutely. I have a list that I'm doing, and I keep all my film scores. I always ask the publishers, can I keep it? And they say, yeah, sure. So I have my
Yeah.
markings in there, and because
Oh
that's
man.
the most challenging part of it. Like when you get a new score and it's blank, you have to like come up with your own sort of reminders and ways to cue yourself. So for
Yeah.
me, I have this library on the other side of just film scores. And same thing with my computer. I have all the studies,
Yeah.
films and clicks and so it's wonderful
Yeah.
because I can just go back Nightmare Before Christmas or you know Home Alone or
Wow.
whatever it might be. So I think this is like my 18th film.
Wow.
Yeah,
You're gonna,
yeah,
yeah, you're gonna have to compose this like a whole scrapbook or something like, and post a note head. That'll be
yeah, yeah.
that'll
Right,
be the
exactly.
latest
Falling
edition.
head. Yeah, right.
Okay, when you think of Jaws, okay, we met Jaws live in concert November 7th at the Ohio Theater. Can't mention that enough. So go get your tickets and we'll tell you how later.
Yes.
When you think of Jaws, it's impossible to not think of that two-note motif. What's it like
Right.
standing in front of an orchestra with an audience behind you and their reaction when
Oh.
that comes in? What can you just put us in your shoes and your tuxedo for that night?
Well, it's funny because during I have a John Williams tribute show that I do with just basically featuring the orchestra and
Right.
I sort of narrate it. And one of the best moments in that is when we do the Jaws theme from Jaws, and it's the very beginning. Ooh, bo, 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 bo. And like immediately you can feel that this like nervous laughter. And then at the very end, what happens at bum 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 bum. I have one of the violinists stand up and scream like this, and then bah, not in this movie, but
Oh,
it adds like people just love it because it breaks the tension and it gives that sort of feeling of why we were there to begin with. But I
yeah,
think a lot of it, you know, now that I'm studying it for real because it's coming up, um, seeing that scene at that beach party at the very beginning and kind
yeah.
of setting the whole tone of the movie from that. It was really it's an unbelievable movie. And thinking that it's 50 years ago since its
Oh.
release. I mean, how is that possible?
It's unbelievable. Every time I go through, because there's always something. There's like I got 4K behind me. There's a new books out.
Yeah,
Pat Jankowitz has a Jaws book out, and there's like so many different things that just keep it going.
right.
And it's like you 50th anniversary, you can't believe it. And it's just like you say, it's so ingrained in our lives. We've seen it so many times. It becomes part of this pop culture. And yet, when you watch the film, it's almost like you're seeing it for the first time again because all the scares still work. Everything still works.
Everything
Um,
works.
yeah, and you can only imagine Spielberg at the time thinking, this is going to be the end of my career. I'm getting fired. This will never make a dime. To
Right.
cut to 50 years later, we're still talking about how it's freaking us out. I gotta say, the score itself, it seems simple on the surface. I mean, because dude, I mean, even Spielberg thought Williams was joking. He's like, "Okay, show me the real score," and it's like, no, it's just, but it's so full as we talked about. It's so full of texture and tension and everything. What's the biggest challenge do you think for the musicians, for the orchestra when they're performing it live, when they're going through this?
Well, I think in general, when we're playing movies, just lining up with the click track as we talked about before, which
Yeah.
is the click that they get. And there's some
For
very
for people
common.
that don't know that, there's like you're looking at a screen and there's a little line that goes by.
Yeah, and that's like for every 4 bars. And then there's this circle that kind of clicks the downbeat of each
Okay,
measure. So it kind of keeps you in track, but also we
they're
have this,
timing it.
yeah, we also have a click in our ear.
Okay.
So the musicians all have this click in their ear so that we're all together and we can make sure that we're very organized so that it helps for the tightness of the ensemble too, because we
Yeah.
have 2 rehearsals for this thing and that's it. So
Yeah.
it's a lot. That's a lot of music for just a very short amount of time. So that really helps with us and it keeps it uh, much more together and we can get it together quicker. The one thing, though, to answer your question is I'd say the challenge would be just the concentration. I mean, the minute you take what are we having for dinner? Oh, so it's like you have to
Right.
stay focused. And again, an odd sort of situation where when you're playing a film score like this complicated, um, it was done in chunks, not, for 2.5 hours or
Right.
straight. But I'd say the biggest challenge then would be just the concentration, making sure that you're right there. But there's this fugue that he writes. It's actually called like Out to Sea Shark Cage Fugue,
Oh,
which is just really complicated. I mean, really hard. And so it'll be interesting for me rehearsing it for the first time on Thursday, a week from tomorrow, and just realizing, what is going to be the challenge in that score, and I think that's, by doing these so many times, you can kind of identify where there will be the problems for kind of getting it together and rehearsing it. And I'd say
yeah.
that fugue is probably going to be the really challenging one, and that's on the second half.
I think for us Jaws fans, we know exactly what you're talking about, and it's next to the theme. I think it's my favorite piece of music from the film.
Right.
When we go to New England, when we take trips up to New England, I play first of all I play the soundtrack nonstop, but then when we're out like watching boats and doing different things, I play that fugue like all the time. It's such a
Oh,
perfect.
really?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm like yeah, Jaws. We do this all the time.
That's
I
that's that's
so
incredible.
love
Yeah.
that. I so love
Yeah.
that piece of music. Okay, so we talked about so. Raiders and Batman and the Star Wars films, they're like nonstop action. Boom, 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 boom. Like there's not a lot of time to rest. I got to say, Jaws does build suspense, as we've talked about in waves, pun intended. It's like you said, there's some slow moving,
Yeah.
but then it comes in. Does that pacing of the film change how you approach what you're doing? So if you get Raiders and Star Wars and then you get Jaws, does that change your approach, or is it still similar somehow?
Well, it's interesting. It's very similar in a way because some of the orchestrations and the way that John Williams pairs the horns with the cello or the bassoons with the cello, a lot of it, the language is familiar, but the way that the film score is put together with the click track and they're all very different. They have different quirks associated with it. But like for this particular one, um, I think actually the genius of this is the quiet parts, the silent parts, the ones where there's not much activity and there's these sort of low end drones and it's suspense building. Um, but my learning part of it is the same. I'll definitely mark things in a certain way to give me ideas. This is a quick turnover, or we've got time. And there's several chunks of time, like 7 minutes of no music. So during that period, that's when we talked about the fact that I look up and get caught up in the
Okay.
you go, oh, I've got 10 seconds before the next one. So yes, I mean there's a chance to relax, but you always have to have your guard up because if
Okay.
your concentration goes, you're gonna miss your cue. So
Oh, so maybe in this instance, maybe you have to focus a little harder,
yeah,
maybe than Raiders,
actually, you're
because
right.
with Raiders, it's like you don't have a moment to breathe.
That's right.
Even in the film, as an audience, we don't have a moment to breathe. So
That's right.
maybe that's the change, is that maybe you have to focus a little harder. You can't think about a ham sandwich or chicken wings after the show or something, or a nice
Yes.
cocktail.
Yeah.
Maybe that
Right.
tightens it a little bit. So
Absolutely.
that's an
Absolutely. That's a
interesting
good
take on
point.
it.
I never thought of it that way, but
Well,
you're
you made
absolutely
it.
right.
You made it. I just
Oh,
went along
oh,
with it.
that's cool. Yeah.
Um, for audience members who might be hearing this for the first time, because I'm guessing you got old people like me who have lived with this film for 50 years, or you probably have this kids coming in, or maybe a younger generation that isn't familiar with jazz. What do you hope that they take away from it, having heard this music for the first time?
Well, I often think about this, and people often say, what would the Jaws movie be without that particular soundtrack? It would be a completely different movie. So when you hear this dun 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 dun, immediately everybody knows that's Jaws. And if you think about it, how genius is that? But the fact that those two notes based his entire film score around those two notes and how he developed. And also, you're going to hear, I keep hearing these like murmurings of La Mer throughout, these chords of that beautiful piece. But at the same time, if I was seeing the movie as a kid for the first time, I think, I guess if I could tell them something, it would be like, realize how incredibly fortunate you are to see this movie for the first time with a full symphonic orchestra
Mhm.
right on stage and
Yeah.
filling the Ohio theater with this glorious sound, which is, it's okay to be in a movie theater with a Dolby sound and all that kind of stuff, but it's so much better with live music. And as a kid, to have that come over you rather than in a headphone or on a some kind of device.
Yeah.
If I could tell the youngster seeing it for the first time to just embrace that and appreciate what you're seeing, because I think adults do appreciate it, and they get it. It's like, wow, what a difference. But to be able to hear live music for the first time, seeing the movie for the first time, wouldn't that be amazing? I wish I could have done that when I was seeing it for
Well,
the first time.
yeah, you walked me into it because it's, do you get feedback? Maybe you don't, but do you get any feedback or do you have any thoughts on maybe these types of events, these live to film concerts, maybe bridging the gap for people to embrace symphonic music outside of soundtracks? Do you get feedback on it? Because I know when I was growing up, it was Bugs Bunny. I was
Yeah.
like, what was the Jerry Seinfeld? You know, it's so horrible that you get all of your knowledge of symphonic music from Bugs
Oh, yeah.
Bunny.
No, it's fantastic. In fact, a
Yeah.
lot of people in the audience, after I do a Rossini overture, let's say Barber
Okay.
of Seville, I didn't know it was Barber. I thought it was the Rabbit of Seville. Or when I heard Ride of the Valkyries, I always thought it was Kill the
Kill the
Wabbit.
Wabbit.
That's how I learned about classical music. And I'm
Yeah.
like completely um excited when I say to the audience half the time, hey, how many of you learned classical music through Bugs Bunny? I did,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was amazing because wow, that what a great way to learn. So I hats off to Bugs Bunny because it
Do you think they're doing that through what you're doing though? Do you get a sense
yeah,
that
thank you
maybe
for
if they like if you did a I don't know, like a Rossini concert or something, or like just
yeah,
something total classical music, do you think
yes.
there's people that would cross over from that, or is that the sense you're getting?
Absolutely. In fact, very often I run into people and they say, this is the first time we were at the symphony. We had no idea how good our local orchestra is and how
Wow.
incredible it was pairing the two. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't think it was going to be this cool. And
Wow.
then I'm like, okay, that's really cool because that introduces
Yeah.
people to the symphony, which then they'll come to a pops concert, they'll come to a classical concert, they'll come to a family
Right.
concert with their kids. And all of a sudden, we got them. And this is part of that wonderful thing about having such a great symphony orchestra that can do these things. And the Columbus
Oh,
Symphony is unbelievable. They can
yeah.
do everything. And I'm so happy when I get to work with them. Honestly, it's just our relationship is we make such beautiful music together. And really, I don't have to do much. I just let them do their thing. And
Yeah.
to watch them be appreciated and um, just perform so beautifully for people who hadn't seen the or even considered going to an orchestra concert and then being like, oh, we're definitely coming back. Then I
Yeah.
know we've done our job.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, there's a schedule, and oh, I can subscribe, and I could,
Exactly.
do all those things. So yeah,
Exactly.
more
Exactly.
power to
It's
you.
a
Uh, oh, go ahead.
beautiful thing.
Yeah, it really is, and it's one of the greatest orchestras in the world. I mean, it's just fantastic. It was announced this week that John Williams is going to be scoring Steven Spielberg's upcoming UFO film. It's their 30th film together. Everybody thought he was retired. He ain't retired. He's still going. What's your reaction to the fact that we're going to be getting another legendary score from the maestro?
Well, it dawned on me that he's 93 years old right now. And he's
That's
still,
good.
I mean, right? And he's still going
Yeah.
strong. Um, and I just absolutely love the fact that he and, well, this collaboration is, we don't even need to talk about uh, how incredible and I mean, historic and iconic this collaboration is between him and Spielberg. Uh, but, on a side note, first of all, I think it's amazing that he's going to be doing this new film, but also with this huge body of work, I always like to say that still my favorite thing that John Williams ever wrote was the TV series Lost in Space. Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
just
60th anniversary this year.
yeah, yeah. It's just like Lost in Space. And, it was so young in his career where it said like theme music by Johnny Williams. I mean, it was like, and it's fantastic. But anyway, back to what we were saying, which, I apologize for getting off track. Um,
No, please.
that it's amazing. He's still going. I mean, and he writes so beautifully, and still it's just so wonderful to see him. You see these clips of him showing up at concerts and making appearances, and the place just going crazy. So
Yeah,
he's truly the greatest film composer of all time, without a doubt.
without a doubt. No, I interviewed the producers of the new Lost in Space series that was out a few years ago.
Oh,
We talked about the fact that they brought part of Williams' score, and their quote to this day, one of the greatest quotes on my show was, "When you have John Williams music, you use John Williams music."
yeah,
Like you
right,
don't
right,
quit
right.
screwing around.
No,
Yeah,
let's
that
cut
was
to the
amazing.
chase.
It's right. You mentioned the one part that with the fugue. Am I saying that right? Fugue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any other parts that you think in Jaws and the score that's coming up that might be overlooked by folks that might not get the attention it deserves? I know because obviously the main theme, that's the biggest thing. But are there any little other surprises that might tease or something to look for? Or
Yeah, there's almost like a kind of a classic or Baroque sounding uh fun-filled uh portion that, has harpsichord, and it's very classical in nature, and it's very light and bouncy. But also he has I believe he's using like old time sea shanties. And
mhm,
so when you hear this bum bum ba-dum, bum ba-dum, bum, it's very upbeat, and
yeah,
it's very sea-like. And I think that's actually the most joyous part of the music, because it's unexpected and it's positive and it's upbeat. There are these sort of trumpet duets going on at this really gorgeous moment, and also uh, just the woodwind writing and harp writing is
mhm.
incredible. Now, also, I would say this is probably the best bass clarinet part I've ever heard. I just was thinking that today. I was like, wow, boy, this bass clarinetist is going to have a fun, because it's just like
Wow.
all these cool moments of just solo bass clarinet. Maybe that's kind of nerdy, but I love it.
No, and well, you can't say Jaws without nerdy. I mean, and you can't be on Comic Book Central without saying nerdy. That's
Okay, all right,
this is
cool.
all of us. Yeah, we all. You're not going to have a You're not going to have a can of Narragansett with you, are you? Are you gonna crush it like Quint? Are
That's
you gonna
hilarious.
are you gonna
Wow.
have that with you?
Oh my God.
Yeah, you got
You
to
have
get a
real,
can of Narragansett, right?
they're these, that's so funny. Oh my God.
All right.
Oh, well, no, I have to admit though, like I just did a concert called Bugs, Bats, and Birds. And one of the bats was theme from Batman, the television, right? And
Oh, the
I
old Adam
actually,
West.
yes.
Oh,
I
okay.
actually had these signs made. I almost wish I could run and show you what they were, but they're basically those, pow, bam, whap, and I had them mail them to me, because I'm doing this show in California here, and I have the orchestra hold up, da na 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 da, pow, bam, bam, and these it's a fantastic thing. They're right down the hall. They're beautiful, and
Wow.
I just I don't know why I'm bringing this up, except oh yeah, well, you've got the can there.
Yeah.
I've got these iconic Batman, old style
Okay.
60s television show, pow bam whip, so
Okay.
that's important to me. Um
Are you okay if you hear a can being crushed during
oh,
this performance? Because you'll know it's me.
okay, well, you'll be there.
I'll be there.
Okay, definitely.
If
Well, I
you
may
hear
have
a
to turn
can being
around.
crushed
Yeah, yeah, I'll know it's
when
you.
Robert Shaw crushes the can, please don't get upset. That may be me.
Listen, listen, with Rocky Horror Picture Show, as long as you're not throwing toast, right?
I won't throw the can. I will not throw the can.
Okay.
I
As long
swear
as
on that.
there's like no tomatoes or beer bottles, and we're
No.
good. Yeah.
I
No,
might
I
have to
love
crush
that.
a can like Quinn, but look, you mentioned the comic book heroes. You've been a champion of Symphony of Heroes and other pop culture programs.
Yeah.
What's your philosophy on mixing high art with Hollywood spectacle? What do you think about that?
Well, I think Hollywood spectacle is high art. So that's sort of my answer, which is the good Hollywood spectacle is an art form in which we are all brought to a concert hall for that reason. So when I go and I hear, when people are there to see Batman or Star Trek or go to Comic-Con, it's because of many elements. And so much of it has to do with the fact that the film score and the television film theme scores um, have contributed so much. And it's in our psyche without even realizing it.
Mhm.
So that to me is high art together. So,
Any behind the scenes stuff going on with the Columbus Symphony that you could tell us? I mean, I know you said I think you're going into rehearsals on this one, but
yeah.
anything from past that have, you know, any memorable behind the scenes stuff that you can think of with the,
Wow. Um, I can tell you that there was an orchestra, not necessarily the Columbus Symphony, but when I was doing a Star Wars, uh, one of the violists' name was Carrie Fisher. So I
no,
love that. I just love that.
great.
So I actually had her stand up and she had the Princess Leia braids. And so I was
Oh,
like,
perfect.
we have Carrie Fisher here, and
Yeah.
I'm like the place went ballistic. But there's always good fun with the Columbus Symphony. I just can't think of any offhand, but believe me, we've had some pretty amazing laughs and cool things happen during
Yeah.
rehearsals.
This, I would imagine this is one of the greatest gigs. I mean, it just seems like, I mean, you're just like a kid in a candy
Oh,
store or toy store
absolutely.
or comic book store or whatever you want to call it.
Oh my God, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
When we say we play music, we don't work music. And I think,
Yeah.
playing on the podium is like it's just so much fun. It feels so wonderful to hear the Columbus Symphony do their thing. And I have the best seat in the house. The sound just kind of pours over and
Yeah.
and that Ohio Theater is just spectacular for this. Um, very often when we're outside for picnic with the Pops, they have that organist come in and do, for film and it's so wonderful to see and hear
Yeah.
this gorgeous organ setting up all of these things. So it's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a great theater, and to be right connected with Picnic with the Pops, like on the side of it there at Columbus Commons, and uh, it's really sort of the heart of classical music right now in that sort of that area, and it's beautiful. When they dress it up for holiday pops. And you can go outside in the Columbus Commons and see all those lights, and it's just a beautiful downtown area, and it's just getting more beautiful each year.
Yeah. It's fantastic. I'm looking forward to this. What's after Jaws? Like, I mean, you're boom, 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 boom. You're always going, going, going. What's
Yeah,
after Jaws? What's next for you? And may I recommend something?
you can always do that.
I, you know, well, if I flip this camera around, the rest of this room is Superman the movie. So
Oh
like
yeah,
almost this entire right, there's Raiders behind me, but um
the
I
original, the Richard Donner film.
yes, 1970. Listen,
Yeah,
I'm hammering people from Columbus Symphony
yeah.
constantly. I now
Mhm.
have a conductor in
I
my
love
little
it.
Zoom box here.
Yes.
Is there any chance we could get Superman? And if not, just lie to us and say you're working on it or
Oh,
something.
we're working on it. No,
Okay.
I'm sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
sure.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
I would love that. I absolutely would
Yeah.
love that.
You
And
haven't
but
done that one before though, have you?
no, but I should point
Okay.
out though, this year we're doing Amadeus with the symphony orchestra during the subscription
Okay.
concert, which I'll be conducting. It involves the chorus,
Nice.
piano soloist, and full orchestra. So
Okay. So
that
that one's
is
coming up. When is
that's coming
that?
up. That's in February.
February. And
Yeah.
then so but
Uh,
after that's kind of open, you're looking because this I think they have a film series. I forget the name of the website. I'll put it up here, but
okay.
I think it's you get Jaws through it, you get Raiders, you get Superman, you get all the I mean,
Oh.
they've got a ton of them, Star Trek and everything. Is that I mean, is that how you get these films or is it through a different
Well,
thing altogether?
each there are several
I plead ignorance.
no, yeah, listen, there's several organizations that represent various films and Disney and there's other companies that represent
Okay.
various films. So depending on their company and what they're offering, some of them haven't been queued up and made yet for live to film.
Okay.
So there's many of them
Superman
that
it's toured. It was in
okay,
Pittsburgh. It was okay.
okay, all
Can
right.
I
So
put
there's no
in a do you
excuses.
have a do you have a voting box? Do you have a suggestion box in your
Well, I
house?
will.
Can I?
I'm going to definitely pass that on because it's obviously a cool one, and
Oh,
I mean, the march itself has become this iconic thing. So,
yeah.
I would love it. Are you kidding me? That would be,
Okay.
yeah.
So that's possible.
Oh yeah.
Where can we go to find out more about you? I know for Jaws, it's columbussymphony.com or CAPA.com, CAPA.com for tickets. How do we
Yeah.
find out more about you? Are you out there or are you, how
Yeah,
can we follow you around?
just I'm waving a stick somewhere. I just where was I? Oh, I was with the Kansas City Symphony last weekend doing my '90s show. I did all '90s music with four beautiful
Oh,
singers, and it was so fun. REM,
cool.
Oasis, George Michael, Verve, and just the list goes on. It was really fun. And the week before that, I was in Atlanta doing the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival, which was hosted by Ben Mankiewicz and Turner Classic Movies. And
Oh,
we had this unbelievable gala event where we were doing like Ten Commandments, and we did Sophie's Choice, and we did Theme from Schindler's List, and American Tail. And, so there's a lot of really great scores that we got to
okay.
perform. Yeah.
You need symphony groupies. You need like people following you all over the
Yeah,
place.
right.
Like follow you
Hey, all
around like the
right.
dead.
Yeah.
You're everywhere, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maestro Chafetz, I'm so looking forward to Jaws. I appreciate so much, and all of us do what you do here in Columbus,
Oh,
and what you do all around the world. And we know you're doing this. Thank you so much for all that you
yes.
do. Continued success. Thank you for joining me on Comic Book Central.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for being interested in the Columbus Symphony. We really appreciate it.
I love it all the time. Joining me now is the communications manager for Kappa, Jim Fisher. Jim, welcome to Comic Book Central.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Thanks for being here. I love being in Columbus. I love Kappa. I love everything you folks are doing. We've been here since 2011, and it's just, my goodness, the list is never ending. There's always something to do in Columbus, I would think.
Indeed, there is, and we're fortunate enough to have our hands in a bunch of it. Whether either Kappa specific stuff or any of the stuff we present at the theaters. So it's a privilege to get to serve the community in that way.
Yeah, because there's a symbiotic relationship, I think, with all the venues and different things. So just for so people to know, Kappa, describe a Kappa a little bit, and then I think is it three theaters, three historic theaters, and I
Right,
think I finally been all three. I think the other
okay,
day I completed the trifecta finally.
right. So Kappa technically was formed in 1969. The city was going to demolish the Ohio Theater.
Oh,
And Kappa was a group of people in the community that formed around trying to keep that from happening. And they were obviously successful. Here we are 50 plus years later, right?
yeah.
And so since then, we have acquired and contracted to operate, obviously, the Palace and the Southern as well. So those three theaters we own and operate. And then we have operation agreements with the Lincoln Theater, which we helped rehabilitate within the last 20 years or so. And then also the Rife Center complex at the State Office Tower, the Davidson Theater, and the studio theaters in the Rife Center Tower as well. We operate.
Okay. Yeah, I just saw Elvis Costello recently as we were recording this a
Okay,
few weeks ago, and it was just fantastic. And you mentioned like one of our favorites events for Kappa is the summer movie series.
sure.
We do that every year, and what people don't realize, if they visit Columbus, you can tour the Ohio Theater, you
Correct. We
hear
do
the
that full time.
stories.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
you go on the website kappa.com. When I mention kappa.com, so
Correct.
tickets to everything we're talking about today. Go
Yes.
subscribe to whatever you need to. But you've got the summer movie series, which they bring in classic films, but there's always like a silent movie. And one of the things I love about the Ohio is it the Mighty Morton organ and
Yes.
organist Clark Wilson, which, correct me if I'm wrong, this is like, are there four original organs left, I think, in the country, but this is the only one in its
That's
original spot. Yeah,
where
they
it was
saved it.
originally installed. Yeah, the other ones have been moved from one location to the other for
Yeah,
whatever reason. But
yeah.
yeah, this is original in the Ohio Theater. Now I'm gonna have to throw some water on this a little bit because
Okay.
the organ actually every so often has to be refurbished or maintained or repaired. Not really repaired in this case, but there's some work that needs to be done
Clark
on the
mentions
organ.
that when he's playing it too. It needs love and attention. Yes.
Yes. So yeah, anyway, it's fantastic. And yeah, if you've been to the movies, Clark or one of our assistant organists plays that prior to every screening and does the full score accompaniment for those silent films that you referenced earlier. But the organ is currently on its way to Indiana. I'm not 100% sure where it is, whether we've still got it in storage or whether we've already sent it. But there's a
do you have a microchip so we don't lose it?
Right. There's a company in Indiana that does work on those.
Wow.
So it is currently being done. And unfortunately, our timing, we had originally sent it out so that it would be back and installed in time for the 2026 summer movie series. But now it looks like that's not going to be.
That's okay. I love that it's being preserved. We love that it's being taken care of. As we all get older, we need a little bit more love and attention, a little bit of work here and there. We get it. We know that it's going to be coming back for hopefully 2027. But that is a highlight, I think.
Yeah. It's just, it's an old downtown movie theater, movie house type experience. And I think one of the interesting things, we're talking about Jaws in here in a little bit, is the idea that as we get older, what constitutes classic film gets younger. Right. Stuff from our childhood is now classic film. So as much as we might want to rebel against that, for our own sakes, what it does mean is that for folks generally our age, Joe, we're going to get some of our own nostalgia from our own childhood. In those, we're doing all that in the last few years, we've started all the Star Wars movies and all that kind of stuff. So, so you're going to see a wide variety of things on that.
But up to new productions too. That's a wide range. We'll talk about what's coming up at CAPA too, but it's like you hit everything. And I remember when we're talking about Jaws in concert, I remember you had Jaws at the summer movie series years back. And we talked about this with Stuart, that when the head pops out of the boat, it still shocked me to the back of the Ohio Theater. Right. And I can only imagine with a live orchestra with Stuart up there conducting. So how excited are you and your team that you're for the 50th anniversary of the film? Perfect timing that you guys are getting great. Jaws in concert.
Absolutely. It's one of those sort of landmark films of an era, right? And it gave us that great music that we all now associate. Here's something that I was thinking about the Jaws soundtrack, is that young people who may not even be familiar with the film or know that it exists but have never watched it from beginning to end or something like that, if they're consuming a piece of popular culture and that comes on, they know what's going to happen, because we now associate that with, if not specifically a shark attack, then some sort of something bad is about to happen.
Some monster, right? Some monster.
Exactly. And so we know. And so, to get to have the symphony be able to perform that score live to screen is just fantastic.
Talk about these live to film concerts. So the Columbus Symphony is just unbelievable. We talked about this with Stuart, just the way they, just even in a concert setting, how they just bring everything to life. But then all of a sudden you put these classic films behind. I mean, you guys have done a lot of this.
Sure.
Describe that experience. And do you get to sit in on these as an audience? Are you hanging out? Like, do you catch some of these on your own?
Okay, so if you want a little behind the scenes,
yes,
the CAPA offices are in the Ohio Theater.
Yeah.
So sometimes if you catch it at the right time, I'll get a chance to sit in the theater while they're rehearsing. Oh. And the conductor can call back to a specific mark in the film that they might want to go over again, just so that they make sure they get the timing, spot on. But that's the most fascinating part of it to me is, in live theater, you're obviously trying to hit your cues as well with whoever's on stage, they're singing or they're dancing or whatever, mood hit or off stage, scene change hit that they're doing. But in live theater, you can sort of fake it, right? If something is not quite right, you've got 20 people who are all working to make sure that it gets fixed. But you miss a hit, you miss a music cue in a film, you've missed it. It's over, right? Mm-hmm. So So making sure that they get that right. And I've never seen that happen in the real world, but that's why they have these rehearsals. And it's really fun to get to see that. And it's just fascinating that they can call back. Yeah, we need to go to that. And they hit that same spot over and over again. You know, they're not like dragging like a cue, like you and I watching a video on our phone and we're trying to find the 10 seconds, right? No, it's all computerized and they go bup, bup, and it immediately starts playing again from the exact moment they want. So
and
that's
there's so many
jump
scares in Jaws
for sure,
that hit that moment. And we talked about that with Stuart, that like you have to hit this. I can only imagine what your offices are going to be like the week leading up to, you know, the rehearsals, and like what your team's meetings will be like. All of a sudden you hear bada in the background. That's got to be cool to be a CAPA.
Right. Yeah. The CEO's on his way into the meeting or something.
Shark attack coming in.
I don't know. Our CEO's great. Don't get me wrong, but
no. Of course. He's not Jaws-like at all. Or is he more Robert Shaw, or is he more Richard Dreyfuss?
Yeah, exactly. I think he'd prefer we had a bigger boat.
You can always need more funding, right? Yeah, always need more funding. Let's talk about another. I want to preview. So that's coming up right around the corner. We talked about that. So CAPA.com, get your tickets now. But I want to preview another big event that's coming up. And people can, if you're watching the YouTube version of this, you can probably tell from my shirt and everything else is behind me. I just interviewed somebody from Back to the Future, the musical. That is coming here to Columbus in January 6th through the 11th at the beautiful, majestic Ohio Theater. The Time Travel and DeLorean is going to be here. Can you talk a little bit about that event and preview that for us, what's coming up?
It's really fantastic. And so, again, a little bit of background. CAPA, as I said earlier, we get to work in a variety of capacities with a variety of presenters and stuff, or producers and stuff like that. So the JAWS program that's coming up is actually put on by the Columbus Symphony. It's presented by the Symphony. We do a lot of live score to film things as CAPA as well. And of course, we contract with the Columbus Symphony to do them. We've done in recent history, we've done all of the Harry Potter films live to screen. And I believe, and I may be speaking a little bit out of turn here, but I'm sure that my Jaws-like CEO will forgive me, that we're going to start those over again. We finished all, 8 Harry Potter films and we're going to start those over again. People absolutely love those. It's another one where
big success,
where the music really helps create the tone and the mood and helps tell the story for those films. So another thing we get to do is we present these touring Broadway shows. We're part of Broadway across America. That our local operation is called Broadway in Columbus. It's under the CAPA umbrella. And so we bring a series of shows every season to our theaters. And I was really psyched when we announced our current season to be able to say that we got Back to the Future. Again, it's a landmark piece of popular culture for people of a certain age, right? But the really neat thing, and it's having an anniversary too, which I'm sure you talked about with Lucas a little while earlier, but
the Marty McFly that's going to be coming up, that's previewing an episode coming up, but chat about with him on the 40th anniversary of the film. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yes. So we're bringing that in January. The technology is just incredible. And they're going to, they'll be here ahead of time and they'll load that stuff in, and it's theater magic. Even a historical theater like ours, we managed to, but it's important for us to make sure that it's capable of handling all of the contemporary tech that you get with these touring productions as well. So you're not going to miss any of that when you come to see Back to the Future in the Ohio Theater, even though the Ohio Theater is almost 100 years old.
It's interesting because I had a chance to see the Broadway version. I had a chance to see the Pittsburgh version at the Benedum, another spectacular historic theater. And again, previewing the interview, Lucas had mentioned they bring 10 trucks and full of stuff. That's all coming to the Ohio Theater. So you guys are going to be ready for it. You're going to have a flying DeLorean there.
Yes, we will. It's iconic from the film. And I know the producers of the live show, and Bob Gale wrote the
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 book of it.
stage, the stage,
Mhm.
the book for the stage play, and he was the co-screenwriter for all of the films. And I know that that was a thing that he and the rest of that producing team wanted to make sure they were able to figure out how to do that tech magic
Mhm.
in a theater where you're sharing space with your audience as well. And it's just going to be fantastic. And if I told you, Bob, if I told you, Joe, how that's done, I'd probably have to find you and kill you. So,
Well, I've got the book behind
yeah,
me.
yeah, I knew.
I read it all, and
Of
I've
course,
interviewed
no,
Bob.
yeah, all that information's out
Yeah,
there for sure. It's a
it's
great book, by the way. It's a
but
really
that was
great
one of the
read.
things we
Yeah.
talked about was even for Lucas, he had mentioned that because I said there at the end, I don't know if you've seen the live production, but there's the clock tower sequence. I'm like, they're never going to
Right.
pull that off, and they do it. And his thought was, well, I see the mechanics every day, but I'm still blown away by the crew behind how they can
Sure.
change things so fast and how they
Absolutely.
can recreate so many different worlds right on your stage. And I thought that was the how do they do that? That's the magic. I mean, that's the true magic behind the curtain.
It is. It's fantastic. And technology allows us to do a lot of things, even in the theater. But it takes people that make that happen. And there's a lot of times where there's some old time theater magic that helps
Hmm.
do that contemporary technology stuff too. So it's really fun.
So Jaws in concert coming up, Back to the Future the musical in January is coming up. What else is going on with Kappa? What do we need to know when we
Look,
go to kappa.com? What tickets do we need to buy and give you our money?
for sure. Look, if you're a big fan of the live music to film, we've got a couple things coming up. If you're a fan of the Twilight films, we're presenting Twilight, so there'll be a live band and orchestra doing the score live to the original film. That's in November, so that's coming up at the end of the month, and then in March we have a touring production of Dirty Dancing where they show the film and there's a band that plays the songs live. And I believe that this is one of those ones where it's almost sort of Rocky Horror-esque, where they really encourage the audience to sing all the songs and all that kind of stuff.
Full audience
Right. I
participation.
mean, look, we're going to anyway, but that's one where they really embrace it, and sort of
Yeah.
ham it up a little bit
Yeah.
for the audience. So there's a couple of those coming up. I don't know that we have the start over the first Harry Potter film. I know we don't have it booked yet, but I'd hope to be able to tell people that they could find that at kappa.com really soon.
We'll keep an eye on that. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And then look, every year we do holiday stuff. I know the holidays are coming up. There's just a lot of great fun that can be had in our theaters throughout the holidays. And it kicks off on Thanksgiving weekend with our own production. We're partnering with Short North Stage, which is a great company here in Columbus, to present A Christmas Carol all weekend long on Thanksgiving weekend. So again, that's at kappa.com, as you've said. So I'm hoping that people can come out and share some of the holidays with us.
So much going on for whatever you're interested in. Kappa's got something for you. Can I throw out a suggestion? I threw it out to Stuart. I've thrown it out before. May I make a suggestion? And again, if you're watching the YouTube channel, this version right behind my head, Superman the movie is everywhere, all over my walls. Can we please bring Superman live in concert to Columbus, Ohio, the Ohio Theater, please?
I'm writing it
If you
down.
can't,
I'm
just
writing
lie
it
to
down
me.
now. Yeah. I assume you're talking about.
You're putting it on a post-it note?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll make sure that that the powers that be get that as a heads up.
Oh,
But yeah, so we're talking about the John Williams, right? Christopher Reeves. Is
yeah.
that so
1978. Yeah, they
yeah,
got the live. It'll be the Columbus Symphony performing with Christopher Reeve and saving Margot Kidder from the helicopter. Please, if there's even just lie to me and pretend you're working on it. But that is so near and dear to my
it
heart.
wouldn't
It's my
surprise me
favorite.
to find out they are working on it, but it would
Okay.
also surprise me to find out that I had anything to do with it. So
Listen, any ears that I can get a Kappa
you'll
or
take what
somebody
you
that
can.
conducts a symphony with a baton in their hand and wears a tuxedo, I'm throwing that out there.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
I could die happy man if Superman and the concert comes to Columbus.
that'd be awesome. I hope we can do it.
Okay, well, that's my pitch. And kappa.com is the website, tickets for Jaws, live in concert, Back to the Future, the musical, so many other events. Jim, I love the Kappa's bringing all these in. thank you for all the work that you and your team are doing constantly throughout the year. And thank you for joining me on Comic Book Central.
Joe, it's been great to be with you. Thanks for the time.